Hello, dear friends. All the flowers of tomorrow are in the seeds of today. Indian proverb. Reality can be overcome with enough imagination. Mark Twain. Imagination is a powerful tool. It can call up memories of the past, shade perceptions of the present, or paint a future so vivid that it can be tantalizing or terrifying depending on how we behave today. Jim Davis. All the darkness in the world cannot extinguish the light of a single candle. St. Francis of Assisi. Quantum science shows us today that our collective thoughts and intentions can have an impact on our physical world and our environment. It is the task of modern spiritual science to form once again the link that must be unite the physical with the spiritual, the link between the earth and the spiritual hierarchies. Rudolf Steiner. This is not a tale of the milkmaid, but believing in order to create. Opinion piece. Vision of future. A new and wonderful world. No one is sick or hungry anymore. No one has to work for someone else. Strife, envy, and resentment no longer exist. Governments have been reduced to a minimum. Intergalactic trade is a good opportunity. Nobody needs a vacation to recover from work anymore. New technologies have brought us many possibilities. A Yogi controlled the Indian stock exchange for years. European Union buys record volumes of liquefied gas from the US. JPMorgan predicts digital currencies will suffer massive losses. Gold prices hit $1,900 on Russia-Ukraine tensions. Ukraine pro-Russian militias accuse each other of ceasefire violations. Canadian Civil Liberties Association sues Trudeau government. Let's start. My Wonderful New World by Stefan. There were no more borders, no more fences, nothing like everything I have seen in the world. For example, death stripes, border controls, wars, everything is a thing of the past. There is still an army, just with different tasks. Those who have chosen to be soldiers are part of the Galactic Federation. They defend and protect Earth and all other member planets of the Federation. Yes, there are still opponents and enemies, and there are also many other planets whose inhabitants are now like we were. In lower dimensions, but ready or about to ascend as well. The project of distributing gold coins to the people became a reality, and we, the founders, could see many happy faces in a few months because suddenly all people's dreams came true. No more money as a negative energy, which has caused so much suffering and so much evil in our world. The positive side effect of this excess of money was that all the criminality has disappeared overnight. The real bad guys, all the puppets of the dark side, has been observed for some time. After all the evidence was gathered, the mass arrests came. Every move the dark side has planned has been controlled by the coalition. The blackouts brought fee power. The stock market crash and cryptocurrencies allowed 100% activation of the quantum internet and the QFS. While outside everyone was busy dealing with the spectacle or with the show, the coalition was quietly and secretly making its preparations and carrying out the plan. Because of this, it still had to admit many things that most didn't understand until the very end. The gaze of the alternative media was always directed to where the coalition was not acting. The plan was brilliant, the secrecy absolute, and eventually led them to the New World. Regeneration. Our whole planet is green and clean again. Everywhere you look and go, everything is nature, pure nature. Industrial animal husbandry became obsolete. Nobody had to hunt anymore. The animals that now live in the wild are becoming more and more tame and trusting. They don't have to be afraid anymore either. And many pests have disappeared. Animals and blood-sucking insects that were also brought to us by the dark ones. And we humans are learning more and more every day to communicate with animals. This has helped many when confronted with venomous species that only wanted to defend themselves during encounters. We live together on one planet, and we have finally realized that we need to share it with all living things. We still have pets, of course, but they come to us voluntarily. Nobody buys animals to keep them anymore. People are doing equally well in every country, or rather in every region of every country. They have all come together to form communities that really work. No one is sick anymore. No one goes hungry anymore. No one has to work for others anymore. And everyone is free to do what they want. And believe it or not, the will to do something for the community has become enormous. There is no more envy, resentment, or fighting. Each person tolerates the other as he or she is. Governments have reduced to a minimum. There is hardly anything left for them to do. The peoples are united among themselves, and the single law of the land is kept: thou shalt not steal. That is enough. Communication. There are still different languages and dialects, but we understand each other, no matter where we are on earth. And everyone speaks in his own language. Today, it is much more important to be able to make communications with other civilizations in the universe. Especially for me, it's important. Soon I have to be on my way again. We have goods to deliver and goods to pick up. My long experience in logistics must have been useful for something. The Earth Alliance has found so many trading partners in the universe that they exchange Earth products with their own products. Not everything can be produced by replicators. For example, money, gold, or other valuable materials. If this has been possible, we would have received a replicator or on our exchange dates and not money. Intergalactic trade has become a good opportunity for me to do what I have always liked to do, even in the third dimension. Today, however, on a larger scale, the spaceships we wish to move around are already a bit bigger, and there are other tasks as well. Pending tasks. The Galactic Federation has for some time a planet in operations, where an ascent to a higher dimension is also pending, both on the part of the planet and its population. Many souls formerly incarnated as part of Earth's population have reincarnated there to learn their outstanding lessons and are now ready for an ascension, as we were years ago. They had almost sacrificed themselves here on Earth to make our ascension possible. It was their task for which they had volunteered. This planet is also, as it was with us, under the control of the Dark Ones. The Creator has finished this deal, as it was with us then, and determined that ascension will come. It is not easy for the Dark Ones. They have to look again for another playing field. Helping and supporting this population will also be an exciting and important task. Everything will become easier. The most constant thing in life is change. That remains true. Even the Earth will continue to evolve with all its new achievements, with all its improvements. Only it will become easier and easier for each individual, but also for humankind. The pressure from the lower dimension decreases more and more, so it becomes easier and easier to climb the steps. And not only is the pressure less and less, but there are no longer so many useless distractions. The freedoms we gained after the change are a tremendous feeling. Burdens have been lifted off our shoulders practically overnight. Nobody needs a vacation to recover from work anymore. No one falls asleep on the couch, exhausted after 8 or 10 hours in front of a television set whose programs only serve to stand. There are still media, but they are no longer recognizable. Real news, of course, but also many documentaries, educational content, and even a few hours a day. We can choose when if we watch it. Also, our daily and weekly schedules have completely reversed. If we used to have a lot of work and little free time, today it is the other way around. Leisure opportunities, which had been the real projects of our future. Today, everyone does what they have always wanted to do. We have all turned our hobbies into work. And since we have the burst interest, everything fits together when we do it together. That was exactly what it took a long time for many to realize. Sports. There are still sporting events, but the sports are only played because they are fun, not for money or fame. All cheating and profiteering has ceased to exist in this field as well. There are still contests and games, but they are characterized by fairness. The best wins, pure recognition without envy, grudges, doping, and other cheating, no matter whether in individual disciplines or team sports. And everyone else can watch it for free if they want to. How do we get there? With portals. Every settlement center has portals. You go through them like through a door or a gate. And to get where you want to go, it is fixed in advance. And past events, for example, concerts of old world sporting events, we can enjoy them in holodecks as if we were there. New technologies have brought us a lot of possibilities to improve and enrich our lives. First of all, to make our free time meaningful, always in harmony with the world and nature. Our free time and how we spend it with family and friends is the foreground. Today is another big bonfire in our settlement center. We celebrate the spring solstice and the third year of mild weather. Together with others, I get to make music today. I choose to play guitar on the medbed as a special skill. Canada. First, Convoy for Canadian Freedom stands firm in the face of Trudeau threats, while suggesting a week-long work strike for all citizens starting Monday, February 21st. Second, Trudeau threatens to kill protesters' dogs and seize their checking accounts. The Trudeau government is teaming up with the banks to seize the accounts of truckers and their donors. They want that their children would be placed in hospices or orphanages and have their trucks seized in an asset seizure, as well as their driver's licenses. The truckers also face arrest. In addition, they have been warned that they will kill their dogs. Third, seizure of accounts. The Canadian people are now rapidly withdrawing their funds from Canada's largest banks. 2 days ago, Freeland announced that Canada's financial terrorism laws would be extended to seize all funds belonging to people who supported the truckers' peaceful protest. Fourth, they will begin arresting truckers protesting in Ottawa. Ottawa police warned protesters that they will take imminent action. Steve Bell, acting chief of police in Canada's capital, Ottawa, said Thursday that law enforcement will take action to disperse protesters in the city. Fifth, repression. Massive police escort en route to break up truckers' freedom convoy in Ottawa. According to reports, over 100 police cars and several buses are on their way to break up the Canadian truckers' freedom convoy protest in Ottawa. 6. Tension mounts ahead of impending police action. Early in the morning of February 17th, Ottawa crews erected 8-foot-high wire fences along the inside of the stone wall separating Parliament Hill from Wellington Street, where most of the trucks and protesters are concentrated. 7. People's convoy heads to Washington. A convoy led by truckers will leave February 23rd from the Barstow area of California for Washington, D.C. to peacefully protest the federal government's emergency powers put in place since March 2020 and restore constitutionally protected freedoms. Demand and criticisms. First, Canadian Civil Liberties Association sues Trudeau government over Emergency Act declaration. The Canadian Civil Liberties Association, a non-profit organization that defends civil liberties and constitutional rights, initiated legal proceedings against Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government over its decision to invoke the Emergency Act following mass peaceful protest. Second, Musk compares Canada's Prime Minister to Hitler. Tesla CEO Elon Musk took to Twitter on Wednesday to slam Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau for his handling of the country's trucker protests, posting a meme comparing him to Adolf Hitler. Third, MyPillow CEO comes to the rescue of Canadian truckers with thousands of pillows. It appears to be an alternative plan for the pillow mogul, who, along with the other Americans, has opposed Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau. Fourth, Puffness opinion. Trudeau's enactment of the Emergencies Act granting martial law has just demonstrated to the Canadian people that the government has lost all credibility. It forces martial law down the throats of Canadians because it is afraid of a very peaceful protest by concerned citizens while simultaneously decreasing the crime rate. Rumors of war. First, Ukraine and pro-Russian militias accuse each other of violating ceasefire. The Ukrainian government and Moscow-backed pro-Russian separatist militias accused each other of violating the ceasefire regime in eastern Ukraine, where they have been clashing for nearly 8 years in a conflict that has claimed more than 14,000 lives. Second, kindergarten attacked. A Ukrainian kindergarten has been shelled. Parents have fled with their children after the attack. This kindergarten, located in the Donbas region, would have been attacked by pro-Russian separatists who claimed the annexation of the Crimean Peninsula, according to the news from the Ukrainian government. Third, the Russian invasion should begin in 30 minutes, in quotes, according to British newspapers. They were the ones who announced 9/11 a few hours earlier. World War III is not going to happen either. Putin and Ukraine did not submit to war demands, and troops were ordered back from the border. Fourth, the US is very concerned about Russian troops near the Ukrainian border and still believes an invasion is possible at any time, said Under Secretary of State Wendy Sherman. 5. Putin doesn't want a war in Ukraine, but if he did, it would only take 2 days. 6. The media are pushing for a war because the international cartel is under attack. A conflict would divert attention from them to a war, and if it started, everything would stop. War would shut down the money supply. War powers are comprehensive and all-encompassing. Once the War Act was started, everything would stop, and that might be what they want. 7. Manipulation of information. All major radio and television stations, the news, the Hollywood entertainment industry, and all the ways we get information of any kind have been manipulated for centuries. 8. As the old adage goes, the Rothschilds won't choose war unless they plan to make billions of dollars from it, especially when they control, as they usually do, all sides. But they may have overdone in this time. 9. Members of the Security Council have opened a criminal case following the discovery of mass graves of civilians in the Donbass region of Ukraine, whose public statement reads, in quotes, "A criminal case was opened for the discovery of mass graves of civilians on the territory of Donbass, the remains of at least 295 civilians who died as a result of indiscriminate shelling by Ukrainian armed forces in 2014 were exhumed. It is already known that among the remains there are bodies of women of different ages." 10th. The Strait of Hormuz as a trigger for global depression. In view of the Ukraine crisis, there is possibility that Russia's ally Iran could close the Strait of Hormuz in solidarity in the event of war. China could use this opportunity to exercise its authority over Taiwan. If the Iranians close the Strait of Hormuz, a shortage of 22% of the world's oil supply would trigger a collapse of the derivatives market. If the Strait of Hormuz were closed, the price of oil would rise to $1,000 per barrel, representing more than 45% of world GDP, causing the derivatives market to collapse. 11. Experts recommend dismantling the derivatives market for national security reasons on an emergency basis. This is highlighted today by the $1 billion a day leakage at Deutsche Bank, which is slowly imploding in large part due to its mishandling of its more than $49 trillion in derivatives. News in brief, or short news. Earthquake in Guatemala. An earthquake of magnitude 6.2 on the Richter scale shook Guatemala this Wednesday, February 16th. Second, Clara Pfeffer, a 33-year-old German TV presenter, suffers strange dizziness on live TV after promoting curfews and blockades. Third, China. Miles Go claims a CCP subway military base flooded in Zhengzhou, Henan province. Fourth, IRS blocked. Hundreds report problems accessing their tax accounts, transcript and processing requests. 5. Biden humiliated as Putin signs deal with Pakistan to supply gas. Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan will meet in Moscow next week with the Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. During this meeting, Mr. Khan is expected to offer the Kremlin a lucrative contract to build a new pipeline to transport gas through Pakistan. 6. 100 lashes and 7 years in prison for a Mexican woman in Qatar. Mexican intellectual Paola Sietecat Cedars was sexually abused while working in Qatar in the organizing committee of the World Cup that will start on November 21st. But instead of punishing the aggressor, the authorities of that country imposed on her a sentence of 100 lashes and 7 years in prison. The sentence was not carried out because she managed to escape from Doha. Economy. First, gold prices hit 1,900 on Russia-Ukraine tensions. Gold prices soared to 8-month highs as investors fled to the safe haven metal on concerns about economic growth and rising tensions between Russia and Ukraine. Analysts see more upside potential for gold, pointing to 1,903 to 1,923 as a critical resistance range. Second, humans will return to God according to Bill Holter, precious metal expert. I think things are going to get so critical in the second half of this year that eventually humans will return to God. You see this all the time during bad times. Humankind turns to God, and I think on a large scale. You will see it by the end of this year, in his opinion, in the opinion of Bill Holter. Third, a Yogi controlled India's stock market for years. The former head of India's National Stock Exchange, the country's largest, shared confidential information with her yoga guru for years, seeking his advice in making performance decisions. Fourth, European Union buys record volumes of liquefied gas from the US. Imports of liquefied natural gas from the US to the European Union reached record volumes in 2021 and last January, the European Commission reported. Cryptocurrencies. First, JPMorgan predicts digital currencies will suffer massive losses. Digital currencies are highly likely to plunge further as the Federal Reserve continues to raise interest rates. David Kelly, chief strategist at JPMorgan Chase Bank, opined Wednesday. Second, Peter Schiff predicts the end of the world for Bitcoin. The top cryptocurrency could lose all its value before the end of the year, investor believes. Crypto skeptic Peter Schiff continues to insist that Bitcoin is worthless and that the digital token is on the verge of another crash. He has said on Twitter that it is on track to drop to $10,000 or even lower. Millionaires. First, Bernie Sanders congratulates the rich and powerful. Senate Budget Committee Chairman Bernie Sanders on Wednesday accused billionaires and executives of pushing the world toward an oligarchic system. Second, Virgin Galactic sells tickets to space. Prices for a trip to the edge of space and back start at $450,000 for a single seat. Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic spaceflight company announced Tuesday that it will open ticket sales to the public on February 16th with a required deposit of $150,000. Shutdown. First, Tuesday, February 22nd, shutdown on the 3G network to disable millions of security alarms, automobiles, and medical devices. Experts have warned that anything from prisoner ankle tags to medical monitors and GPS systems could be shut down when 3G mobile networks are shut down by the end of the year. Second, AT&T is scheduled to shut down February 22nd, while others are staggered through December as internet providers switch to faster 4G and 5G signals. While cell phones will be easy to replace, other devices could be abandoned. The number of vehicles and auto-related equipment affected by the switch was estimated at 8 million in 2019. Third, Tesla, Nissan, Toyota, and Lexus are among those that could be affected, according to Consumer Reports. About 1.5 million anti-theft alarms and security systems are also said to need updates. Fourth, mass bird deaths worldwide. Dozens of birds died mysteriously on February 10th in a small town in Chihuahua, Mexico. A similar event was witnessed in Kentucky. Michaela Pritchard from Wales, driving home on Thursday, found dead birds lying on a road in Pembrokeshire. 5. NOAA forecasters say a region of co-rotating interaction could hit Earth's magnetic field on February 19th. These are transition zones between slow and fast-moving solar wind streams. Solar wind plasma builds up in these regions, producing shock-like structures that can trigger bright Arctic auroras. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.